I'm Linda Walker, and this is my granddaughter Esther and her friend Lucy. We're going to read Flash the Donkey Makes New Friends. Chapter 1, The Meeting. Some adventures begin with once upon a time, but mine begins with an old blue wagon and a good idea. I found my wagon on my travels. See, I like to go from town to town and place to place. It's nice to sleep anywhere you want, most of the time. Well, some of the time. The wagon was in bad shape, but the wheels still turned. I decided to fill it up with interesting stuff. This was my good idea. I looked here and there and high and low. If something caught my eye or looked useful, I put it in the wagon. Soon my wagon was piled high with treasures. So high, too high. Now it was heavy. So heavy, too heavy. Oh. Suddenly I could not pull my wagon anymore. My wagon pulled me. Down a hill I tumbled, down, 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 but I held on until a tree jumped in front of me. Crash! Now my idea did not seem like a good idea at all. "What is it?" chirped a voice. "I don't know," said another voice. "It's a unicorn," shouted a third with an oink. I opened my eyes wide. 3 sets of eyes looked back at me. "That's not a unicorn," said the chirpy voice. Her small eyes sparkled. "That's a donkey with a giant lump on his head." So they're all looking. Feathers brushed my forehead. Ouch! "We must take him to his home," the third voice said. And my head hurt even more. I don't have a home. I'm on my own. The 3 of them looked at one another. "Let's put his things back in the wagon. He'll come with us." The chicken was clearly in charge, but suddenly my idea was a good idea once again. Chapter 2, Caring. "I'm Ruby," said the chicken. "Sit here." Ruby gave me some ice for my lump on my head. I liked her right away. "Will he get pajamas?" asked the goat, whose name was Jed. "Pajamas?" "We will see," said Ruby. Said the pig. "I'm Carson, and you must be—" "I'm very tired," I said with a yawn, and I looked around. There were beds. One of them looked especially nice. "Maybe he's not very smart. He piled his wagon way too high." That was Jed whispering to Carson. "I can hear you," I said. "My ears work just fine." I wiggled them up and down. "Everyone just calls me Donkey." "Let's get you tucked in, Donkey," clucked the Ruby, helping me to the nice bed. And Carson brought me a cup of tea on a tray. "This will help you sleep tight," he said, "so you can be on the road again tomorrow." Jed bounded up on a tower of hay bales and went humph. He piled his wagon way too high. And I noticed nobody talked about pajamas again. In the morning, Ruby woke me with some news. Sorry to disturb you, but we have a problem. Jed blurted out, Today's our annual neighborhood pancake breakfast, and we're in charge of making the pancakes. This didn't seem like a problem to me. Pancakes sounded delicious, and I was very hungry. But our pancake machine is broken, moaned Carson, and he wiped his forehead. How are we going to make pancakes now? And Jed shouted, This is a disaster! And Ruby began to cry. I have an idea, I said. Where's my wagon? I might have something useful in there. Riddle, rattle, Jed pulled the blue wagon full of treasures next to me. Shall we look at the pancake machine? I asked. Right this way, said Jed. I think Donkey's feeling a little better. Oh, I said, it's grand. I tapped on the parts and wiggled the other parts, and I went to work. Wire, please. Chain. Spring. Carson closed his eyes and said, It's too late. The neighbors are starting to arrive. And Ruby fanned his face. Almost done, I said. I'll have this finished in a flash. The last piece snapped into place. Now let's see if this works. Bang! Pop! Ruby flapped into action. Grab the milk. Grab the flour. We're in business. And here's the neighborhood pancake breakfast banner. Look at that machine. All the neighbors cheered. Moo. Bah. Meow. There's the meow. Nee. If I say so myself, the annual neighborhood pancake breakfast was a smashing success. Chapter 3, Celebrating. Well, I must be going now, I said, and I put my things back in my wagon. Perhaps you should have some tea first, Donkey, said Carson. That bump on your head still needs some attention, said Ruby. My bicycle is making a funny sound. Will you take a look? Jed asked. And the 3 sets of eyes looked at me. I thought for a moment I could stay a little longer. Jed clapped and Carson put the tea kettle on. How do you feel about pajamas? Ruby asked. I think I'd like some flannel ones, I smiled. If you have never been invited to a pajama ceremony, let me tell you what happens. First, a goat plays a ukulele and sings a special song. And then a chicken steps forward and presents you with flannel pajamas, which are very soft. And finally, a pig recites a poem. So here's the goats singing doing the ukulele, and the chicken presenting the pajamas. And the pig says, Your adventure began with a dash. Then a tree caused your wagon to crash. But you saved the day, quickly finding a way. And now we shall call you our Flash. Flash!
Flash has this.
Yay! Shouted Jed, and he leapt onto the table. And Carson bowed, but all I heard was, Now we shall call you our Flash. I think he felt pretty good about that nickname. If you have never been to a pajama party, well, this is what comes after the pajama ceremony. And there is cake and music, and dancing and popcorn and storytelling and fun. There's here's the party. At the end of the party, you will fall asleep in an especially nice bed, one with your very own name on it. Flash. The seeds of good deeds become a tree of life. A wise person wins friends. Have you ever heard that line before? No, it's pretty nice. And it asks some questions at the end, like, who are your friends? I think there's a friend here. And how do you and your friends care for one another? That's pretty nice. And there are ways that you can help your friends sometimes, huh? Like how to tell time? And that's the end. Thanks, folks.